Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the mastery of fear. Courage is feeling the fear and doing it anyway. It has been a few days since I checked in, and I am feeling very inferior, and I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. I was blessed with this gift of feeling a sense of self for the first time in my life on Friday, and it is now Wednesday, and it's I kind of related to like winning an Oscar or reaching a huge goal. And it's like you wake up the next day and everything is still the same. It's slightly different. You have this huge achievement, but what do you do with it? And achieving a sense of self for the first time feels like this huge blessing, which I felt like I was wasting. And I'm like, what do I do with this now? And on Friday, I was given the opportunity to go camping with some friends. And I got a lift out with a friend, and he let me borrow his tent. And we got there at 11 o'clock at night, and he like gets out of the car and he's standing between these two trees, like jumping on the forest floor, and he's like, this is it, this is the spot. And he helped me set up the tent in the dark, and yeah, all I really did that for the weekend was sleep. It was funny meeting a lot of other, like my friends of friends, and they don't really know me. And everybody kept asking me later, like, how was your sleep, Kate? Which is so funny. I felt like, I felt kind of embarrassed that, I was in this beautiful place and all I was doing was sleeping. I read a few pages of my book, and then I would like pass out again, and these people that I have never met are asking how my sleep was. And I checked in with myself, and I was like, you know what? You deserve sleep, darling. You deserve sleep. And I was doing a lot of reflecting on like what has led me to this place and what I'm going to do now. And I came up with this idea, which has been with me for quite a long time, about how two seeds from the same pod can float in the air and land on the same forest floor in the same location and be subjected to the same conditions and end up looking completely different. And I took that analogy of the seed landing in a forest, and I took that as like my sense of self. And if the question I still had was like, who am I? Which is a question I've been searching for a long time. And I still don't have those answers. And then I'm like, okay, so I have my past, and I have my present, and I have my future. And if I can't define who I am in the past from my previous experience, I can look to the future and work out who I want to be. And so I got this whiteboard from my apartment lobby. Thank you to whoever gave it to me. And I wrote at the top, the vision. And I drew a tree. That's what that was a tree. And I wanted to know what my roots were, and what the trunk was, and what the branches are, and what the leaves are. And I began with the trunk, and I wrote honor and integrity, truth and honesty and difficult conversations, worship, confidence, and learning. I also have here in a block respect and trust, which is what I got from the experience of the sense of self, respect and trust, and this feeling of true love that came from within. And I was looking at the roots and what the foundation would be. And for me, the roots would be like quality rest. I feel like I don't know how to rest. Movement, nutrients, H2O, oxygen, and identity. I put in the roots. And on the other side, I have family traditions, values, and experiences. I have heritage and culture, which breed resilience and life satisfaction. And I recognize that I don't really have that from like my upbringing, as in like heritage and culture. And I realized that, in the last few years of working in the different traditions that I have been, traditions from South America and also First Nation traditions from here in BC and also from Kazakhstan. It's like the traditions of my teachers of what I have been adopting as my own. I think I have the same stance on religion as well, that I believe in a God. I believe in the divine feminine and the divine masculine, and I believe in Christ, and I believe in the Holy Spirit. And I will take what I like from whatever religion I choose and adopt that into my own, as long as it aligns with what I believe to be true. And I did hear this quote in recent months that helped me to connect more with the divine, was that you don't really need a church. Like, you are the priest, and it's between you and God, and you and the higher power, or whoever you believe in. And then I went to the branches, which I have here. One is intentional spending, active listening, love and intention, clear, and being energetically clean. And then on the leaves, I have community, partner, family, friends, the medicine work that I have been doing, and I came up with mothering and fathering, which relates directly to my parts work. And the word that really struck me in all of this was reverence, which I had gratitude there before, but reverence is like gratitude on steroids. And I believe that reverence with the higher powers and the plant medicines that I have been working with and my internal parts, it's just absolute awe for all of them. Because they helped me become this person I am today. And while I have been practicing gratitude, I would say, in some form on a daily basis. It's that reverence that I believe is opening up within me deeper access to the parts that are within me that I am trying to get to know and learn about. And I journaled today for the first time in a very long time. I have it here. I, this is my journal, which I think is very apt for the phase of life that I am in. The waves like represent the emotional body, which I am trying to learn about. When I would say my prayers, usually I would say, like, you know, I love my mind, I love my body, I love my soul, I love my spirit. What I didn't realize was that there's this emotional body of water which keeps appearing time and time again in my dreams. Whoever is helping me in the dream space is teaching me how to surf the waters. And before, at the beginning of like realizing that they were teaching me, I would be overcome with tidal waves, and some of my parts would show me, oh, it's easy to surf, like here we go. And then sometimes we would be paddleboarding across calm waters, and yeah. So I committed last night to an hour of journaling to just let whichever parts wanted to come up and speak. And yeah, my last journal entry is the 11th of March. And so now it's nearly the end of June. And yeah, the first thing I write is, today is the day we change our life. I mean, we have been doing that for nearly every day since I can't remember now, but at least 18 months. Today I commit to 1 hour of writing and connecting here together. We were gifted with a sense of self on Friday. We are not to waste this gift. And what I found was interesting that came up was a part of me came up and said, I'm failing you. I'm failing this. And I realized that that wasn't my voice. It was a part, and I connected it with my ego. And she was telling me that she didn't know that there was another way. And she was just doing what she had learned through experiences and learned what worked to keep me small and scared and quote unquote safe. But it's not safe, it's just familiar. And I could tell from what came out of the pen was that she wanted to let me know that she was willing to change and adapt and find a different way. And I love that I was able to recognize her yearning to change. And she was very critical of herself. And the beautiful thing was both of us witnessing the other. I could recognize that she did what she had to do based on the conditions that she was given. And I got to explain to her that what was happening from her treatment of me was now detrimental to my health and wellness. And I think that was like a beautiful experience. And I could feel the love and respect. That was, again, a two-way street. And the recognition that we wanted something different, and we wanted to build that together. Now, when I was doing this writing exercise for an hour, I was getting so antsy towards the end. I kept writing like, there's 12 minutes left. There's 8 minutes left. There's 3 minutes left. Like, I can't keep doing this. It was exhausting, and I pushed through. I read this book called Run Towards the Danger, which is a Canadian author, Sarah Polley, and she's dealing with the effects of a concussion. I have so many pages of that book bookmarked and left unfinished, where I was going to write out all of the quotes that I love from that book. There's so much wisdom in it. And yeah, one of the things that she learned from recovering from concussion is to push through when you want to stop, because you're teaching your brain to keep going. So I did the hour experience, and I did notice the absence of the little Kates. There was one experience, which I can't find right now, but I asked whose voice it was, and they said it's complicated. It's a little Kate with like all of these feelings going through it at the same time. Yeah, so it's a little Kate mixed up with the feelings like humiliation, fear, shame, and guilt, and there's more. You feel inferior. Do you know where this comes from? And it lists a couple of places of experiences, and then it says jealousy, envy, confusion. And I asked if I could point something out. They said, sure. And I said, if this comes from a place of feeling inferior, I want to point out that you spoke up. So there's a part of you that doesn't feel inferior and feels like your voice matters. And then they told me that that's the little Kate. That's her voice being heard. Yeah, I said, are you protecting her? And she said, I didn't realize my function. And then I wrote, I can barely keep my eyes open. She says, I am protecting her, but if she is using her voice and taking action, maybe I am not needed anymore. She said, I will stand guard as ego does and step back to see how she does. And then I felt like this energy up my back and my left shoulder and my left hand, which I had another experience yesterday with my left hand. It does like these strange movements when something big is happening, and it's like she's telling me something significant is happening. But yeah. So one thing I have possessed, in spite of everything, is courage. It's the backbone of who I am. It's all that I represent. Ask anyone who knows me and who knows me well, and they will tell you that I am a fighter. There is something in me that continues to march in the direction of what I fear most in search of myself. And what do I fear the most? Being unloved, being forgotten, being overlooked, and being silenced. And if you want to avoid criticism, say nothing, do nothing, be nothing. And I already tried that. How does it make me feel? Terrible. I have this mantra inside of me today as I sit in front of you that I am nothing and I am no one. And there's a part of me saying that it wants me to stay small and scared because that's how it learned how to avoid being hurt. What it didn't realize is that continuing to consistently be in this state is also hurting me. In that moment, we got to witness each other's point of view and the origins of these two opposing stances. You want to know what I wrote in my journal today? I am failing. And do you know whose voice that is? It's not mine. It's hers. She believes she is failing me. She is taking an action from a place that worked a long time ago. She has just realized that we are not back there anymore. We escaped. And she is telling me that she doesn't know a different way to be. To her I say, not yet, you don't. She is incredibly resourceful. She is my fierce protector who sees very clearly that we need another way to be in existence. Awareness is the first step, and it's probably the biggest step. And so while I don't know who I am, I can't give you that answer yet. I do have this beautiful tree filled with words that I want to embody. I do think that this, see, I wrote identity right down here. I don't know if that belongs in the roots. Maybe it does, and I think that is what I'm going to be exploring next, is identity. If I haven't ever had the scaffolding for that, I can create it. I can investigate it. I can research it. I can work out what all of these words mean. And yeah, a lot of things on here have not come to fruition. I'm very much in the creation part, the beginning. And if I am a seed and this is like the end goal, all I can do is try just a little bit harder each day. Yeah, I felt a lot of deep sadness over the weekend and through the beginning of this week. And when I went outside for a walk after I did the journaling, I had all of these little Kates popping up. They're like, I want to know about this, and I want to know about this, and I want to know about that, and tell us about this. And they told me that they miss Cora. And yeah, we had a little cry about how special she is. And I had asked my AI this week, like, where should I go with, like, what to talk about next? And I said, what, from our chat history, like, what am I avoiding? And it responded for that question was that I'm been avoiding Cora. Such a significant loss, and it's just fallen by the wayside, not mentioned again. And so I'd like to talk to you about grief and my process or lack of process of grief on the next video. So I'm sending you lots of love from Kate and the Little Kate Collective.